Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. White media outlets have been reporting that Nancy Pelosi has been saying that maybe what the Democrats need to do is to actually have an open nomination process. That what they need to do at the convention is let's actually put it to a vote who ought to be on the ticket. Don't just automatically hand it to Kamala Harris. Now, ain't that something? Ain't it something that you got Mama Nancy who is saying that? Because Pelosi's saying she doesn't want a coronation for Kamala Harris. At least that's what the rumors are. Even though that's exactly what the Democrats would need to do if they're going to prop up this empty suit and try to make her into some sort of overnight best candidate. They have to find a way to not only do all sorts of quickie repairs on Kamala Harris's broken image, but they also have to be able to present this woman as not merely being legitimate, but inevitable. They don't have time for an intra-party brawl for the nomination. The Democrats need to bestow instant legitimacy on their nominee, and that means they need to have a coronation going on right now. Not nominate, but coronate. This is the heir apparent. There should be zero question from within the party about Harris being the nominee.
The next day,
Democratic support for Kamala Harris is pouring in, and within the last few minutes, we've learned from the Associated Press she already has enough support from Democratic delegates to be the party's nominee.
Once again, if you're not following the black media, then you'll always be the last to know. This situation simply confirms that even without the senile old codger at the top of the ticket, the Democrats' chances of winning in 2024 are more precarious than they were willing to let on. Now, Biden and the Clintons were endorsing Kamala Harris. They already went ahead and said, this is the woman who should get the golden nod. So even with Obama and Pelosi's reported hesitance to give her the nomination, it seems there was more than enough Democrats in the party who felt that an actual contest for the nomination was simply too wasteful of time, money, and supporters to go that route. Gee, I wonder where we heard that one before. Kamala Harris is a weak candidate, and they know it. She needs every possible advantage and edge that they can give to her, starting with time. How do they take someone who they've been hiding from the cameras for the last 4 years out of embarrassment and try to turn her into some sort of inevitable political candidate in only 4 months? That's all the time they got until the election. They will need every single moment of that time that they can get to try to build her up. Kamala Harris has no ideas, no charisma, and no personable skills. Then again, she wasn't exactly in politics because of all those things. She was in politics because she was a social climber, and because politics makes for strange bedfellows, she was bedfellows with some of the most powerful people in California. At least that's what the rumors are. CNN is reporting that Harris is allegedly outperforming Donald Trump among certain groups. Well, that's loaded language right there. Among these groups. So that's your first indication that this is going to be a list of cherry-picked data that CNN is going to put in front of you. And when you look at who it is that Kamala Harris is allegedly doing so well against Trump with, it's the same 4 groups who the white media's been telling you Democrats have been breaking their necks to appeal to for the last 20 or so years. They need a new party base to replace the now disobedient black vote. By the way, this article by CNN doesn't even mention black voters or black people at all. And the so-called polling lead that Kamala Harris has over Trump, it's only by a few points, which is mostly within the margin of error. The groups who Kamala is allegedly doing so well among are women. Now, by that, what they mean is white women. This is why the Democrats have been hammering the issue of abortion so hard. That's a topic that's meant to appeal to women, and white women in particular, white female voters. After all, if you're going to be talking about abortion, how many of those white educated women were sowing their wild oats while they were in college? Or perhaps had a black boyfriend that they didn't tell the family about. So as far as they're concerned, even though they don't dare talk about that with the family, the truth of the matter is they want abortion to actually be an option for them just in case they get themselves knocked up by the wrong person or knocked up for the wrong reasons. And that brings us to the second group, independents and movable voters. Now, what evidence is there that Kamala Harris is actually appealing to independents? And when they say independents and movable voters, as I told you, that means white moderates, or casual racists as they should be known. These are the so-called Biden Republicans who Rahm Emanuel was talking about. So Democrats think that the casual racists might be willing to vote for Kamala Harris, mostly because she was a prosecutor. And of course, she loves to brag about her education. And they figure that just like Joe Biden and Barack Obama, she'll toe the line for the status quo. This is why Hillary Clinton felt so comfortable running around in 2016 describing black males as super predators. But when she went to talk to white voters, she wasn't describing them as super predators. Instead, she was talking about hard-working white people. Hillary Clinton was engaged in heavy dog whistling, and the party leadership didn't call her on it. Now, what does that tell you? Next, you got voters of color. Now, normally the white media tries to say that Kamala has black voter support. I showed you a clip of that on CBS of the reporter saying that Kamala can get black votes, though she sure couldn't in 2020 when she ran for the presidency on her own. CNN, however, is saying voters of color. They're not even saying black people. Now, if you want the starkest proof that the phrase people of color has nothing to do with black people, here it is. Even the white media understands that. A whole article that doesn't mention black people even one time. And this about a woman who is allegedly half black herself. And people of color, well, those other non-white groups have been breaking for Republicans. Kamala Harris is half Asian, and that's a demo that breaks for the GOP. So when they say people of color, this means non-white demos who have been trending Republican, who they hope the Democrats can sway. Again, this is all about Democrats steadily pursuing their strategy of circumventing the black vote. And finally, CNN says that Kamala Harris is beating Trump when it comes to appealing to young people. What they mean by that is immigrants and the blue-haired activist set. The white media is just so desperate to claim that young voters like Kamala Harris. This is an attempt to manufacture the consensus that she's a political rock star. They're trying to claim she connects with young people just like Bernie Sanders did. Well, if that's the case, then I'd like to ask Kamala Harris what young people are happy about voting for a woman who imprisoned people for marijuana. What young people are looking to vote for somebody who went after single mothers under the pretense of cracking down on kids skipping school? And what young people out there are hot and bothered to back Biden's war in Gaza? Then again, this is the entire reason that Kamala Harris went on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and in direct opposition to Joe Biden, at least rhetorically, she was talking about Israel being criticized and all the rest of that, and Palestinian lives matter, etc., etc. Yeah, the Democrats were already laying the groundwork even then, just in case they can't make Biden get it to the finish line, just in case they can't drag him across that finish line. They want to be able to say, well, Kamala Harris, you've gone ahead and said some things which hopefully will lower your liability with those young voters. That's what they're actually talking about. But what they're not talking about is black people. They're not saying anything about young black people, not even young black women. They don't even bother to say black in the entire CNN article, so CNN's saying loud and clear what the plan has been for the longest time. Only the black media let that cat out of the bag a long time ago, so while you can be disgusted, what you can't be is surprised. Kamala Harris has allegedly gotten the nomination now, but this is about more than the 2024 election. No matter how much scare talk and fear-mongering the Democrats have done, they understand there's a bigger objective they're trying to reach. And that is to neutralize the political threat that black people are presenting with our demands for tangibles. You simply can't keep a system of racial hierarchy in place if the people at the bottom of that hierarchy are constantly trying to come up. And that's what's happening here. That's what they're scared of. Kamala Harris can get the nomination because, as I told you, the party leaders decide who the nominee will be. And you've seen that happen in record time. Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama did give some tisk-tisks, but in the end, political expediency won out. She got the nomination, but the real question is, can she get the votes? When she ran in 2020, she certainly couldn't. When she ran on the Biden ticket, everybody mostly tried to ignore her. So they can make a big deal about Kamala getting the number of delegates that she needs, hell, even brag about her getting the nomination. And they can whitewash the fact that she's ignoring the black vote, which is the party base, and they can pretend as if they'll be able to pull away just enough casual racists and other non-black constituencies that they can win without us. But you know who else ran a historic first campaign for the presidency? You know who else got all the delegate support early? You know who else ignored the black vote and catered to the right-of-center voters? Hillary Clinton. And the more I look at this election, the less it looks like a repeat of 2020, and the more it looks like a repeat of 2016. And I think we all know how that one turned out. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Liban Gurhan, Radia Bey, Miss Debbie, Zachariah Williams, and Samora Morris. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.